Welcome to The Better Life with Dr. Mary Ann Pinkston. Join Dr. Pinkston today as she teaches you how an integrative approach to health, combining holistic and contemporary medical information, can lead you to the better life. And now, here's your host, Dr. Mary Ann Pinkston.
Hey, good morning. I welcome you to another episode of The Better Life with Dr. Pinkston. And as you will get used to on the end of the month, I'm going to have Ray Solano, a pharmacist that is up in Austin, Texas, and a mentor of mine that runs PD Labs Pharmacy in Cedar Park, Texas, I think, Ray, and is a wonderful compounding pharmacy where I rely on so many prescriptions and compounds and things that are used a little bit outside of contemporary medicine. And Ray is exquisite and highly educated, very intelligent, and such a softie. He's a teddy bear too, so I love him to death. Welcome, Ray. I'm glad to have you on again today.
Well, thanks for having me, and thanks for those kind comments. I appreciate that. Nice words.
You're welcome. You deserve it all the way. So I think today we were going to talk about something I think that is highly needed, and that is a common sense approach to medicine, because I think we've lost it. I think we've lost our common sense and street smarts when it comes to taking care of patients. Got a little too technological, too fancy, a little too out there. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's absolutely correct. It seems that the practitioners that have been treating patients for many, many years realize that there's some foundational things that nobody is talking about.
Right.
When's the last time anybody told anybody to wash their hands? I haven't heard that lately. It seemed to be all of a sudden that was the what we do know is the best approach for virus transmission. But we're being told to do other things in place of the things that are common sense.
Right.
I'm always amazed at the commercials for fast foods, and now you can have, and they're actually tagging vaccines, getting COVID shots with a treat, like
right.
We're all a bunch of animals, and then,
right.
You have to get a donut, or
right.
you get a beer, or a jab for a joint in New York City. So
exactly.
That's when I realized we have lost it. Okay,
yeah, we've lost it
when we're doing all of that, and then now in Ohio they're giving a lottery tickets for it, but I think that one of the things that I think is, are you prepared? What is your health? Take responsibility for your health on your daily routines for whatever insult you're going to get. Because, be honest with you, I think your chances of getting a cold is probably greater than COVID.
Right, or the flu, and the flu season, and yeah.
I thought it was gone. I thought flu was gone. I haven't.
Well, it is now, but I mean, if you just think about, the entire year, it's just, I'm sorry, but oh, right, because the CDC did not even keep data this year. Isn't that insane? So
it's gone.
There was something somebody told me once, and that's a line that we get in medical school all the time, that common things occur commonly, and when you hear hoofbeats, think horses, not zebras, right? And so you probably heard all this too, but those are what we get. And then, we have to keep our mind on the fact that common things do occur commonly. And you have to know that there are possibilities of those really strange things that occur, and keep that in the back of your head. But, how often does that come up in a year for me with a patient? Maybe once, maybe every other year. Honestly, common things occur commonly, and it's just we just have to keep our mind on the prize there of taking care of patients. And then also with you were mentioning just simply washing your hands. The industry has blown up in hand sanitizers and wipes and things like that. People don't realize that we ingest a lot of those chemicals, and that affects our microbiome in our gut. So that affects our immune system, and on and on and on. So washing your hands doesn't really do that.
No, it doesn't. It's
keep it simple.
Keep it simple. It's inexpensive. I get 3 emails from FDA MedWatch a week of contaminated antibacterial creams or solutions that were contaminated with methanol. From most of it was from Mexico.
Right.
So it flooded the market with inferior sanitizers. And like you said, all the chemicals and fragrances in there.
Right.
It was worse than actually what we're trying to do. So the simple approach, the common sense approach would be, just wash your hands often and take what I think is you get into a routine of a supplement support.
Sure.
And I think it's what I try to do every day is you know what? Vitamin D3, we do know that we're low.
Top.
Is take it every day. I like vitamin D3 with K2, so we protect with our calcium support at the same time. We're doing a twofer, right? Vitamin D3 and K2. And then I like, on top of that, adding your zinc as well as N-acetylcysteine. We came up with a formula called HistoShield. It has a combination of all these together. But a little bit of zinc daily is good support for our immune system. And not only that, but for men, it increases their testosterone levels.
There you go.
So why not, right?
Why not? And so you do have products, right, that are kind of all self-containing, because I know some of my patients will have a cereal bowl, full of vitamins on a daily basis. And if you can kind of get an all-in-one and just get a good mixture, you don't have to overdo it. But I know you guys have some of these that would keep the number of tablets you have to take down and make it a lot easier. It's not expensive either.
Well, pill fatigue. Is the worst thing. And I'm just as bad as anybody else. My limit is 3. That's it.
Wow.
I'm not taking more than 3 a day because I realize this is what customers. If I go to 12, or because you and I both know you can go to 12 very easily.
Sure.
One for this, one for that, but patients, what they do is they give it up after a while. They go, I can't do this. So we don't want them to give it up, and it's important that these are foods. So you don't eat the same food every day, but certain things you cycle on and off.
Right.
I think that's important. But if you don't want to take zinc every day, you know what? Have some Brazil nuts every day. Start snacking on Brazil nuts and pumpkin seeds have a high amount of zinc. There are some natural foods that are high in these in selenium. Adding this in those especially in those nuts. So those are the things that people to be aware of if they're starting to get to that fatigue. But we put together some formulas that are combined. And right now, what we found is the HistoShield is great for allergies because a lot of people have pollen allergies.
Everybody in South Texas.
Everybody does. So this combination, I'm looking at it and going, this is probably a virus protective, because when you have the N-acetylcysteine, which is a good amino acid support. You have the vitamin D3, you have the zinc, and the vitamin C all together in one. I'm going, this should be probably take 2 of these capsules twice a day, and then you can go on your merry way.
That's right.
And be healthy enough for whatever excursions you do to yourself throughout the day.
And keep it simple.
Keep it simple, because we're not living in a bubble. I don't know about you, but I don't live in a bubble.
No, not lately. No, I gave up my bubble life a long time ago because it's not reasonable. I lost a lot of friends, But, so what else? I know vitamin D and K2. I think it's very important for people to understand that vitamin D is, because people will take just a vitamin D over the counter and they'll or take a prescription from the pharmacy, and it's missing K2. And people don't understand. We don't make K2. We don't consume it. It's not in our foods anymore. But K2 is responsible for allowing all of our receptors to work and to get the vitamin D absorbed and converted and all. And so without K2, you can take as much vitamin D as you want. It's not going to elevate to the point where we need it.
Exactly. And I think it's important to take a dropper full every day. And sometimes we hear conversations from our patients, from practitioners that say, I think we're taking too much.
Possible. Yeah.
Well, I have to respect, different opinions.
Sure.
If people are having difficulties, but, I think they realize that going out in the sun is probably our best source of vitamin D. But you get 20,000 units of vitamin D by being out in the sun for 3 to 4 hours at a time. So I think our recommended daily allowance is quite small.
Yes.
For what we have. So I think it's important to get a blood level. So then come to your office and get a blood levels. Yes, we had some people that, their levels are a little bit high. So that's why it's important to measure it.
I have found that patients, when they come to the clinic, and I check vitamin D in everybody, I have found that patients are running along the lines of 10 and 20.
Yes.
And I recommend 60 to 80. As a level. Most reference ranges for labs say 30 to 60 or so, but I recommend 60 to 80 for great immune system support, because most of us really don't eat well and take good care of ourselves. So I feel like those little higher numbers, science really shows that is a great place to be. But if you're 10 or 20, a couple, and we won't spend 3 or 4 hours out in the sun like we need to. We're busy, and so I just have found the only way I can do it is to get people to take a D, but I add on the K2, and that seems to shoot them right up. It's a miracle. It's wonderful.
And you know what? I had my levels. I have to say, I was 12.
Oh my gosh, you of all people, 12.
I got my blood levels back, and I went, oh my gosh.
But see, it goes to show you that's how it, and we don't realize that because we think we're doing well, and then you check it and you're like, is that, and so no wonder people are developing immune system problems. There was a great study that showed if your levels drop below 60 for a long period of time or very low like that, that can initiate an autoimmune disorder. So vitamin D is very, very important.
So maybe you should take some of these things before you go get your shots, right?
Right, exactly. So, yeah. And I think we are going to spend an entire show on the COVID vaccine coming up. So I know people need to stay tuned and listen, because we are going to spend some time on that. But we're going to do, again, another common sense, practical way of approaching it, not get into the controversy and all. But what else, if you are people like to take things like elderberry or echinacea or things like that. What are your thoughts on those?
Well, I think it's important that to know the source of the products you're taking. We know elderberry has been tried and proven over the period of time to be very effective, especially for immune support of cough. It works for elderberry syrup, but it's unfortunate when you realize to cultivate these plants is an art form, and to make sure different parts of the plant are the active forms, and being able to, when you harvest them, or to be able to do it in the right form so it doesn't destroy the chemical properties.
Right.
And then when it's actually given to in its final form, it hasn't been adulterated. This has its potency. So I think you'll find a lot of the product people say, well, it doesn't work. Well, you're not sure that it does. It is active. And I think a lot of the products that have a German monograph, or that they have as much information on a label that has the activity levels, it has the types of sources, whether it's the aerial part of the plant, as much detail as possible on a label probably tells you that you have a good source,
right?
Because it's really kind of against the rules to make up stuff and put it on labels. So
they do it. But what about the USP that they put on labels? Is that really? Are we really able to stick with that? And is that a great guideline, or is it just another letters?
Well, it's important. The USP monograph is a nonprofit agency that has guidelines for all drugs, also dietary supplements and botanicals. So these are the minimum standards that is given for a product, that it follows the USP monograph. However, there's another is important, is the manufacturing process that is followed. And you'll probably look on the label for GMP, good manufacturing process, or certified good manufacturing process, CGMP. So if somebody's spending a lot of money making their products in a pharmaceutical facility, they're going to put that on their label as good as an assurance that it comes from a good sourced manufacturer.
Wow.
So look for that CGMP label.
Gotcha.
Manufacturing. That will tell you that this is not something that is sold or comes out of China.
Somebody's backyard or.
That's right. Well, and this is the reason why, practitioners, some of the things are only sold to practitioners.
Yes.
The good professional companies don't want it to be sold out of Amazon. They don't want it to be sold out of internet.
And that's
because they're
very
strong.
important point. Yeah. That's very important because we'll buy, it says like I buy a lot of orthomolecular and, I'll see an orthomolecular product on Amazon, but it's sold by a third party of somebody I don't recognize. How do we know they didn't take the label, the seal off and replace it with something that has a bunch of fillers in it, put the seal back on? Does anybody do that? And then, mail it out and charge twice as much.
Well, there's no storage restrictions in Amazon. It's in a warehouse. Right. Most of the items are not refrigerated and they come out of Las Vegas.
Gotcha.
However, you can return anything to Amazon.
Gotcha.
And so it can be sent back.
At least you can do that, right? Get your money back. But Ray, we are going to have to take a short break. I know the time goes so fast when you and I visit, and I love it. So, but I'll talk more about, and I'll let you talk more about what you do up there in Austin. But we're going to take a short break, and then on the other side, we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the immune system boosters and things we can do to protect ourselves in this day and age. So we'll be right back. So glad you guys are joining us back. I'm talking with Ray Solano, who is from PD Labs up in Austin, Texas, a compounding pharmacy. We've been talking about a lot. We've talked about vitamin D and all kinds of supplements that boost our immune system and boost our vitamin D and all. But we left off talking a little bit about product quality and buying from reasonable sources or whatnot. So let's continue that. I'm really interested. I know you have a lot of products that and a great place that you buy from as well that supplies you. Tell us more about that.
Well, we have an online store. That's really important that people realize. That is, we spend a lot of time qualifying our manufacturers, and we go with research-based nutraceuticals. So we just don't throw items together that we think sounds good, that is something that will sell. We have to have clinical basis for our formulations.
Right.
And so we've developed a number of unique formulas based on some recent literature that is one of a kind. Right. And it's important that we know, because we have manufacturers we contract out to make it for us, and the amount of effort involved in validating the potency levels, to making sure that there's no mold in these items, because unfortunately many of these supplements, all the raw materials come from third world countries, or it comes from China, India. Very few of them are sourced here in the United States, and unfortunately there is endotoxins and mold that can be part of this. So they have to source that and screen that they are tested and verified, the manufacturer, that what they sent them is the specifications that was put on pieces of paper. So you look at it and you go, wow, it's quite involved. It's almost more difficult than pharmaceuticals. So when you do all that, you know that there's a trusted source and is shipped to you in temperature controlled, or the chain of custody where it's come from.
Right.
And that's important. And so that when we look at the product, we look at it as a pharmaceutical, not just as a supplement.
Yes.
And so then then if something is sold for $10 or $9 in a grocery store, well, not to say that there's a problem with it, but you have to really search and know who the manufacturer is.
Exactly.
And you know what? If you call any supplement manufacturer and ask them questions on their quality control procedures. The good manufacturers will spend an enormous amount of time explaining what they do because they're very proud of the process.
Absolutely.
But if you can't get a hold of the phone number on the label, okay, or if somebody picks it up in broken English, you may be in a little bit of trouble because you don't know where that phone number is going to.
You're just not sure. Yeah. That happens. Yeah. With so many products these days, everything is outsourced, and, it's okay for people to give good information, but where is it really coming from? And I find that patients buy things from the grocery store or, the local, vitamin shops and whatnot. And I just implore people to understand, we've done all of this research. We have done it for you. We know the good, products that are out there that are safe and don't contain mold, won't make you sick. And people don't understand. And it's about price or insurance coverage. And I understand it's difficult to afford these things sometimes, but just try to talk with your practitioner and just like with me and just know that we are with you and just know we can help you whittle down so you don't have so many numbers and so expensive, but you can still buy something good. And so, here we are again. We have 7 minutes after we come back from the break. Guess what? It's almost gone. So I want you to spend the last 2 minutes here telling people where they can find your products and all, since you've done all that research and taken all that time, where can they find your information?
Well, check out our website, pdlabsrx.com. Very simple, pdlabsrx.com. We're here in Cedar Park. Our phone number is 888-909-0110. That's 888-909-0110. We're in Cedar Park, Texas. We're located in the north part of Austin. And our website has a lot of health tips. I do Sirius XM commercials every week.
Right.
So we post those all on our website. They're thought-provoking topics. So check it out. It's on our podcast, Healthy Choices XM. So that the website is pdlabsrx.com. And guess what? We actually fill compounded prescriptions too, and we ship them nationwide.
Yes.
We do unique formulas for brain trauma, for traumatic brain injuries, mold, Lyme, and also we're consultants for low-dose naltrexone. So if you have questions or concerns, just give us a call. We can give you, at least point you in the right direction. We know a really great physician in San Antonio too we can send you to.
That's awesome. Thank you. Yeah. And so I have all that information, a phone number and website and all on my website. And so just to kick my website in there, it's drpbetterlife.com. You can find all of my information, where to find me, and you can find where to find PD Labs up in Austin. And Ray, thank you so much. I am so happy that you're on. You're going to be on with me next week too. So stay tuned. We've got more to talk about, and join us when we come back next week. Thank you again, Ray. All right. Bye-bye.